Going through a breakup is hard enough, but let's talk about the times when you still have to deal with your ex-partner. Now that's just on another level of difficulty, especially if you're coming out of a really painful situation that is still emotionally charged. Perhaps you're trying to co-parent, perhaps you still own a business with this person. You just have to communicate with them in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, the ending of a relationship is hard enough and it triggers so many emotions, and you're trying to navigate this new relationship that you have with this person. Now let's throw in the fact that your ex actually starts dating someone else. This can absolutely intensify all of the feelings that you're experiencing, whether it's hatred, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, sadness, it doesn't matter. It's going to intensify it, especially when there's just some unhealed stuff left between you and this person. When there's some baggage and unresolved emotion that's going on between you and your ex, just the presence of their new partner can definitely trigger you. It's going to give you a mix of emotions, from curiosity to even jealousy. Maybe even you might feel sadness or some bits of insecurity. Let's start by uncovering and diving into these emotions and how you're going to actually navigate through this challenging phase so you can start healing. The initial impact that you're going to feel when you see your ex-partner with a new person, and again, it doesn't matter if they ended the relationship or you ended the relationship, seeing this person with someone new is just a difficult thing. It's just a reminder that the relationship has ended and a person that you thought you once might be sharing a life with is no longer that person. They've moved on, and the feelings of sadness and disappointment are definitely not uncommon, especially if you were hoping that the situation would be different than what it is, especially if you are coming to terms with this relationship and this ending, breakup, divorce, whatever, just came out of nowhere. You're still in the midst of processing what actually just happened, and now they're in a relationship with someone new, and that's a whole another layer of healing that you have to go through. Number one, I want you to just allow yourself to actually grieve. Allow yourself to feel every emotion that you need to feel, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, jealousy, everything. Feel it, but I don't want you to stay stuck in those feelings for too long, because that's when you can just get caught up in a cycle of mourning someone that you shouldn't be mourning for as long as you are. It definitely takes time to process your emotions, so do not be hard on yourself when you especially have the initial impact of even seeing this new person around your ex. Seeing your ex with someone new leads to this kind of like comparison game that we often sometimes play. This is when we're wondering whether or not this person has qualities that you don't have. Oftentimes too, this is where you really start kind of looking at your own self-worth. Are you attractive as this person? Are you as nice as this person? Do they seem to have a totally different personality than you? Are they just better than you? So your mind likes to construct all of these stories to compare you to this person. You're trying to figure out why your ex is even attracted to this person and what they have that you don't have. It's really important to remember that everyone's attracted to people for certain things. It's not just looks-based. It's not just, does this person have money? Did I not have money? Do they not nag, and did I nag? It's not really about that. When you're attracted to someone, it really has to do with your wounds. It's important to remember that you're always going to be attracted to people based on all of the unresolved emotional wounds or traumas that you have still inside of you. So how healthy you are is going to determine how healthy the person that you're attracted to is. The comparison game literally never works. Nothing good is ever going to come out of it. All it's going to do is just trigger your own worthiness and your own self-esteem. And that's what we're definitely not trying to do at this point. We're trying to rebuild ourselves. We're trying to remember what it is to be healthy. We're trying to heal. And so you chipping away at yourself and comparing yourself to someone else is not going to give you the outcome that you want. So it becomes a discipline to not engage in those kind of internal conversations that you know are just going to do you harm. Remember, this game also will create a false story of what's really going on. So they're truly happy, they have found each other, it's the love of their life, etc., etc. These stories like to just construct that you were the problem and this person is just so much happier now that you're not in their life. The reality is, and especially if you are dealing with a toxic person, especially if you're dealing with someone who you know is unhealed, who you know is a little unhealthy, who is possibly narcissistic, whatever, the list goes on and on. 99.9% of people are going to fall into that category of maybe not narcissistic, but unhealed. Everyone is walking around with some kind of unhealed wound. Once you really understand that, then you start to accept the fact that, yeah, there were probably things that I couldn't give this person, and that's not a bad thing. Now, jealousy is another really common thing that a lot of times we're going to struggle with when that new person really enters into the picture and your ex is dating someone and they're bringing them around and you're trying to navigate your relationship with this person, and now you're constantly having to see this new partner and your mind is playing tricks on you in terms of like the dynamics between the two of them and maybe the life that they're living and who this person is when you have absolutely no idea who this person is. And so jealousy starts to be a common emotion that most people will experience. Obviously, it's going to arise when you see a person that you once loved moving on to someone new. This jealousy stems from a lot of different places. It stems from low self-esteem, but it also stems from really having this fear of your own unknown. This fear that you've been replaced, this fear that you've been forgotten, this fear that now this person is just off living their best life and you're here single and all by yourself. Now let's add on to the fact that you're co-parenting and now this new partner is going to be around your children. That's going to trigger some type of insecurity or jealousy. Maybe you're afraid that this person is going to play daddy of the year or mommy of the year, and that in some ways that they're going to replace you. That is a really common fear that most people have that they don't really realize is actually at the forefront, and it's causing them to behave in certain ways. They don't understand that that's really the big fear that's dictating a lot of their either controlling behaviors or jealousy or those kind of vindictive feelings that they have inside, because it really boils down to I'm nervous and scared that I'm being replaced. Now you have to be able to come to terms with what is really the big fear that's lying underneath the surface between all of this other stuff that's surfacing. So controlling behavior, frustration, anger, even sadness. It's not about those things. All of those things is the layers, that top layer. I'm talking about getting underneath all of that and figuring out what is the root cause of this behavior, of this sadness, of this frustration, of this controlling behavior. What is really going on that you need to tend to that's causing this behavior to happen? Because I'm telling you, just suppressing it or making the way you're feeling about something else is never going to allow you to actually heal. You're just going to get caught up in a cycle where you're doing the same thing over and over again because you think it is this thing. You think that you're just angry at this person. You think that you just don't like their new partner when it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what's going on inside of here. So when your body language is off and you're trying to convince yourself that you're over it, but clearly you're not, and you can see it in your energy, the way you talk, the way you handle yourself, it just shows that you're still unhealed. And here's the thing that I want you to remember with everything that I'm saying right now. This takes time. Don't judge yourself whatsoever for feeling the way that you feel. It is not something that you're just going to say, okay, Steph, I'm logically understanding all of this and I'm going to take step 1 and 2 and then I'm going to move through this. It doesn't work like that because you're dealing with your emotions. You're dealing with trauma. You're dealing with sometimes betrayal. You're dealing with so many things that are going on inside of you that you just have to work through. But I think the more you know what you have to do and the more you begin to be a little bit more self-aware and you don't suppress and you're dealing with how you feel. And now here's the other piece of this. Sometimes we can't deal with everything all at once. There is such a thing as PTSD. There's a reason why PTSD even exists. Because basically in the moment when you were experiencing something, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be anything crazy and catastrophic. It can just be a breakup. It can just be a divorce. It can just be the rug being pulled out from underneath you. You need time in order to emotionally process what's going on. And of course, when you go through certain things in life, it also triggers things from your past that are still there that maybe you haven't dealt with. And it doesn't mean that you were consciously trying to suppress it. It just means it was something that just I forgot about and it was left on the shelf completely unhealed. And now this situation, this circumstance that I'm in is bringing that to light. So all of this is going to trigger so many things inside of you, but it gives you a chance to kind of chip away and start really learning not just how to love yourself, but because I don't want to use that phrase just lightly, but learning how to really be healthy. When an ex starts dating a new partner and you're not dating anyone, guess what? Ding, ding, ding. It's going to trigger uncertainty and the fear of the unknown in your own life. This is where you start to really wonder, when am I going to find true love? When am I going to be in a relationship? When am I going to find someone that I actually trust and want to spend time with? That can also trigger some anger or some frustration because maybe perhaps you didn't end the relationship. This person ended the relationship with you, and now you're angry that you're even in the situation that you're in. Maybe you did end the relationship. Maybe it was your decision to do it, and this person has moved on and you still haven't, and you're getting frustrated with that situation. You can even feel completely frustrated and nervous and scared of the unknown when you are co-parenting, and quite frankly, you're doing all the work and the other person is not doing half of the work that you're doing. That can build resentment, that can build frustration, that can build a lot of fear that can just start brewing inside of you. Now, here's the thing with being in this phase. This is actually the most self-empowering phase, and I'm going to tell you why. This is where you really start growing and trusting yourself. This is when you really are going to consciously start working on all of your fears. Because guess what? They're all coming to the surface. This is where you're not going to just go from job to job, relationship to relationship. This is where you really stop and say, what do I want? Who am I? Where am I at this phase of my life? What do I want next for myself? This is where you really sit and start actually goal setting. Now you're going to start being a little bit more conscious in your life. You're going to pause. You're going to ask yourself really empowering questions that are going to help you to get closer to where you want to be. Have the relationship that you actually want to have. You're not going to settle. This is really where the standard goes from here all the way up here. That's the good that comes of the situation of you ending a relationship, is that you get to kind of reassess who you are, work on your own inner self, and rebuild. And rebuilding is very scary for a lot of people. The fear of the unknown is very intimidating for a lot of you, but it can also be something that is incredibly empowering. And this is where you really start building your inner strength. When you rebuild, and you rebuild every area of your life in the way that you want it to look, you undoubtedly will have a level of self-confidence that you did not have before. You will have this ability to really wholeheartedly trust yourself in life, because you know how to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally, because that's what it took in order for you to get to where you are. When you do that type of work, even though you're really working on all of these goals and moving yourself forward, you will also in the process start healing a lot of things from your past. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, all of this is going to happen just because my ex is now in a new relationship with someone else. Actually, yes, it's going to trigger so many things. And if you just allow those triggers to be there and not tend to them and not take care of them, then yeah, you're actually just going to be constantly reactive to this person. You're going to let your insecurities and your jealousy take over, or you can actually start healing not only how you feel in this situation, but a lot of things from your past. And that's where, once that happens, then you actually thank the person for either ending the relationship, or you know definitely without a shadow of a doubt it was the best decision that you made for yourself. So I hope this video served you well. I hope you got some great tips. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week.